I woke up at 4:47 a.m. on Saturday to find two naked strangers sitting on my couch. They were wearing my pet's collars, and they knew things, impossible things. Things only my cat and dog would know, like how I cried in the shower on Wednesday, like the nightmare I had at 3:33 a.m., like the exact way I crush up my dog's anxiety medication and hide it in peanut butter. Mason, the one with the brown hair said, his voice shaking, "We have 24 hours to save you." This is the story of the most perfect, heartbreaking day of my life, and why I'm still here to tell it.
Welcome to the Portal Library. Step through and let the magic begin. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you'd love more stories or have a request. New videos uploaded every Friday.
Perfect Day, a short story. Chapter 1, The Gray Routine. The apartment smelled like old carpet and the faint, stale scent of microwaved meals. It was a small one-bedroom in a subsidized building on the east side, the kind of place where the walls were thin enough to hear your neighbor's television at 2 a.m., but nobody ever complained because everyone was just trying to get by. The protagonist, Mason, though he'd never thought of himself that way, sat on the edge of his bed in the pre-dawn darkness, staring at the alarm clock that read 4:47 a.m. He hadn't set it. He never did anymore. His body just woke him up at this hour now, like clockwork, his mind immediately filling with the low hum of anxiety that had become his constant companion. 23 years old and already so fucking tired. He stood, his joints popping in the silence, and shuffled to the bathroom. The mirror reflected back someone who looked older than he was, dark circles under his eyes, a face that had learned to smile for customers but forgot how to mean it. He brushed his teeth mechanically, avoiding his own gaze. Why is it so hard? The question drifted through his mind like it did every morning. Why does existing feel like dragging a boulder uphill? He'd been asking that question since he was 14, since his parents had sat him down at the kitchen table and told him that his lifestyle wasn't compatible with their household. That was the word his father had used, lifestyle, as if being gay was a hobby he could just quit, like stamp collecting or playing the guitar. Foster care had been a blur of different houses, different rules, different ways of being unwanted. He'd learned quickly how to be small, how to be invisible, how to survive. At 16, he decided to run away. The streets had been kinder than some of those homes, which was really saying something. Now he manages a retail store and a strip mall. He was good at it, good at the fake smile, the customer service voice, the inventory spreadsheets. He was a functional adult. That was the word his last therapist had used before his insurance stopped covering sessions. You're highly functional. Functional felt like another word for barely holding on. A soft meow sound came from the hallway, and he felt something rub against his ankle. "Hey, buddy," he murmured, bending down to scratch behind the ears of a large orange tabby cat. The cat he'd named him Cheese, because he'd been too tired to think of anything clever, purred and wound around his legs in a figure eight. A moment later, a medium-sized mutt with floppy ears and a perpetually worried expression padded into the bathroom, tail wagging tentatively. The dog Pickle, because apparently he'd committed to a food theme, sat down and looked up at him with those big brown eyes that always seemed to ask, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Pick," Mason said, running a hand over the dog's head. "Just another day." Both of them were about 9 years old, if he had to guess. He'd found them 5 years ago in an alley behind the grocery store where he'd been working as a stalker. It had been raining, and he'd been taking out the trash when he heard the crying, high-pitched and desperate. He'd found them huddled together in a cardboard box, soaking wet and shivering. The cat had been barely more than a kitten, the dog not much bigger. He should have called animal control, he knew that. Should have taken them to a proper rescue group. But when he had called the local shelter, they'd told him they were at capacity, that they might have to be euthanized if space couldn't be found. The woman on the phone had sounded tired, apologetic, defeated. So he'd just kept them. "Listen, I know that's not how you're supposed to do it. I know you're supposed to go through proper channels, fill out applications, pay adoption fees. But they were dying, and I was dying. And somehow, it made sense that we should all be dying together. Except they hadn't died. Somehow, impossibly, we all survived. He'd nursed them back to health in his shoebox apartment, feeding them with an eyedropper at first, then wet food, then gradually introducing kibble. He'd taken them to a low-cost vet clinic, gotten them their shots, had them fixed. It had cost money he didn't have, but he made it work. He always made it work. They'd saved his life, really. There had been nights, many nights, when the only reason he didn't swallow all the pills in his medicine cabinet was because Cheese and Pickle needed to be fed in the morning. It was a small reason, maybe even a stupid reason, but it had been enough. 5 years later, they were still here, still his anchors, still the only living things that depended on him, that needed him, that would notice if he just didn't wake up one morning. "Come on," he said, pulling on a sweatshirt and yesterday's jeans. "Let's go for a walk." The neighborhood was quiet at 5:30 a.m. on a Friday. The sun hadn't quite risen yet, leaving everything in that liminal blue-gray light that made the world feel unreal. He clipped Pickle's leash on, let Cheese hop into the pet carrier backpack he'd bought online — the cat liked to come along but refused to walk on a leash — and headed out. His apartment was on the 3rd floor. As he walked down the stairs, he passed Mrs. Chen's door on the 2nd-floor landing. He could smell something cooking. She was always up early, always cooking. Sometimes he'd come home to find a container of dumplings or rice porridge left by his door, wrapped in foil with his apartment number written on top in marker. He'd never thanked her properly. The thought occurred to him every time, and every time he let it slide, too tired to knock, too anxious about the conversation, too something. Outside, the air was cool and damp. Pickle walked beside him with that same worried expression, stopping to sniff at fence posts and fire hydrants, but always looking around anxiously. The dog had anxiety, the vet had told him once. Your dog has diagnosed anxiety. He'd laughed at that. Of course his dog had anxiety. They were a perfect match. They walked the same route they always walked: down Maple Street, left on Oak, around the park, back up Elm. It took exactly 23 minutes if they didn't stop for long. He used to enjoy these walks, used to notice the changing seasons, the way the light hit the trees, the sound of birds waking up. Now it was just obligation, routine. Another thing to check off the list: wake up, walk the pets, shower, work, come home, feed the pets, walk them again, sleep, repeat. Pickle stopped to pee on a bush, and he waited, staring at nothing. A car drove by. Someone's porch light flickered. The world continued its indifferent rotation. "Good boy," he said automatically when Pickle finished. In the backpack, Cheese shifted and made a small chirping sound. The cat was watching something, probably a bird. Mason loved them both. He did, but depression was like a thick gray film over everything, muting the colors, dampening the sounds. He loved them the way you love something in a dream, distantly, abstractly, with the knowledge that love should feel like more than this. "Why is it so hard?" he questioned again. "Why does everything feel like too much?" They walked past the park, past the closed coffee shop, past the row of dark storefronts. In a few hours, the world would wake up and pretend to be alive. He'd go to work and pretend along with it, putting on his manager face, solving problems, being helpful, being functional but barely holding on. They turned onto their street. Almost home. Another walk complete. Another day begun. Pickle looked up at him with those worried eyes, and for just a moment so brief he almost missed it. He felt something. A tiny flicker of warmth, of connection. Then it was gone, swallowed by the gray veil. He climbed the stairs back to the apartment, unlocked the door, let Pickle off the leash, and released Cheese from the backpack. The cat immediately went to the food bowl. The dog followed. He stood in the doorway of his small kitchen, watching them eat. "Just keep going," he told himself. "That's all you have to do. Just keep going." It was the same thing he'd been telling himself since he was 14 years old. So far, somehow, it has been enough. Chapter 2, The Bargain. Pickle POV. I know something is wrong with Mason. Dogs aren't supposed to know things the way humans do. We're supposed to just feel them, act on instinct, live in the moment. But I've been with Mason for 5 years now, and I've learned to read the signs the way other dogs read scents on the wind, the way he walks too slow, like his legs are made of stone, the way he stares at nothing for minutes at a time, his eyes looking at something we can't see, the way he cries quietly in the shower when he thinks we can't hear him. I'm curled up on the couch when he comes home from work that Friday evening. Cheese is on the windowsill, pretending to be asleep, but actually watching the pigeons on the fire escape. We both perked up when we heard his key in the lock. "Hey guys," Mason says, and his voice has that flat quality it gets after work. The customer service voice has been peeled away, leaving only the exhaustion underneath. He feeds us the dry food with a little wet food mixed in, the way he always does. He walks with us around the park, and then we come back home where he sits on the couch next to me, one hand absently scratching behind my ears, while he stares at his phone. He's not really looking at it, though. His thumb scrolls, but his eyes don't move. After a while, he gets up, brushes his teeth, changes into the old t-shirt he sleeps in. It's 8:47 p.m. on a Friday night. He's 23 years old, and he's going to bed. I follow him into the bedroom. Cheese is already there, having claimed the pillow next to Mason's head. I jump up and curl into the space behind Mason's knees, the spot I've claimed as mine. "Love you guys," Mason whispers into the darkness. His breathing doesn't even out for a long time. I wake up at 3:33 a.m. because Mason is having a nightmare. He's making those small sounds in his throat, not quite whimpers, not quite words. His body is tense, his heart beating fast enough that I can feel it through the mattress. I shift closer, pressing against his legs, trying to ground him the way I always do. It doesn't work tonight. He wakes with a gasp, sitting up in bed, his hand clutching at his chest. In the dim light from the street lamp outside, I can see the tears on his face. "Fuck," he whispers. Then again, "Fuck." Cheese lifts his head from the pillow, ears swiveling forward. We make eye contact across Mason's body, and I know we're thinking the same thing. The dark cloud is getting worse. That's what we call it, the dark cloud. It's always been there, hovering around Mason like smoke. But lately it's been getting thicker, heavier, like it's trying to smother him. Mason gets up, goes to the bathroom. We hear the tap running, the sound of him splashing water on his face. When he comes back, he doesn't try to sleep again. He just sits on the edge of the bed, head in his hands. I rest my chin on his thigh. Cheese walks across the bed and headbutts Mason's elbow until Mason lifts his arm and lets the cat crawl into his lap. "I'm okay," Mason lies. "Just a bad dream." We stay like that until 4:47 a.m., when Mason's body clock decides it's time to start the day. After he leaves for his Saturday morning shift, wait, no, I'm confused. Sorry, it's really hard to track the human days and time altogether. I don't know how Mason does it. Let me start over. After Mason leaves for work on Friday, after we hear the door close and his footsteps fade down the hallway, I turn to Cheese. "We have to do something," I say. Cheese POV. "I know," I tell Pickle, and surprised by how calm my voice sounds. Cats are supposed to be aloof, unbothered, above the messy emotions of dogs and humans. But I remember things that Pickle doesn't. I'm older, not by much, maybe a few weeks, but old enough to remember the before time. I remember the old human, the one who smelled like medicine and peppermint, the one whose hands shook when she petted me, the one who told me she loved me, right before the big woo-woo machine came and took her away. I remember waiting by the door for 3 days before I understood she wasn't coming back. I remember the shelter, the cage, the sounds of other animals crying. I remember the day they put Pickle in the cage with me, how he wouldn't stop shaking, how I pressed against him until he finally calmed down. I remember the man who came to look at us, how he said we were too old and not cute enough, and walked away. I remember the feeling of knowing we were going to die, so we managed to escape. And then I remember the box, the rain, the cold so deep it felt like our bones were freezing. And then I remember Mason. Mason, who was barely more than a kid himself, dripping wet and crying as he wrapped us in his jacket. Mason, who fed us with shaking hands and whispered, please don't die like a prayer. Mason, who gave us names and a home and 5 years of safety. Mason, who needs us the way we needed him. He's getting worse, Pickle says, his ears flat against his head. The dark cloud pickle? What if he does what the old human did? What if he just leaves? He won't, I say, but I couldn't even convince myself. I've seen the pills in the bathroom cabinet. I've seen the way Mason looks at them sometimes, standing in front of the mirror with the bottle in his hand. I've seen the way he stands at the window, looking down at the street below. The dark cloud is trying to take him, the same way it took the old human. And we're just animals. We can't call for help. We can't tell anyone. We can't make him understand that he needs to stay. We need to talk to the overseer, I say. Pickle's eyes go wide. Cheese! We can't the price. I know the price. I jump down from the couch and pad to the window, looking out at the city. But what's the alternative? We watch him fade away? We wake up one morning and find him. I can't finish the sentence. Pickle is quiet for a long moment, then, okay, tonight. Pickle Pov. We wait until midnight. Mason is asleep, actually asleep this time, knocked out by exhaustion after his Friday shift. His breathing is deep and even, and he doesn't stir when we slip out of the bedroom. The ritual is old. Older than humans, maybe. It's something that lives in the blood and bone of every animal, passed down through generations in a language that has no words. We sit facing each other in the middle of the living room floor. Cheese's yellow eyes catch the light from the street. My heart is hammering so hard I think it might break through my ribs. Are you sure? I ask one more time. Are you? Cheese counters. I think about Mason, about the way he saved us, about the way he holds us when he cries, about the way his face looks when he laughs, those rare, precious moments when the dark cloud lifts and we can see the person he's supposed to be. Yes, I say, I'm sure. Cheese nods. Then let's begin. We close our eyes. We reach down into that ancient place inside us, the place where instinct lives, where the old magic sleeps. We call out not with voices, but with something deeper than voices. We seek an audience with the overseer, the god of animals. We come with a petition. We come with an offering. The air in the apartment changes. It gets heavier, thicker, charged with something that makes my fur stand on end. I keep my eyes closed because I know that the overseer is not something you're supposed to look at directly. Who calls? The voice isn't a voice. It's the sound of every animal that has ever lived, speaking in unison. It's comforting and terrifying all at once. We do, Cheese says, and his voice doesn't shake. A cat and a dog. We come to ask for help. Help? What help do you seek, small ones? I force myself to speak. Our human is dying. Not his body, his spirit. There's a darkness in him that's taking him away from us. We can't reach him. We can't save him. But maybe if we were human, just for a little while, maybe we could show him. You wish to become human? Yes, we say together. Do you understand the price? Cheese speaks first. We understand. We'll have 24 hours, and then we have to enter the cycle. We can't come back. And you would pay this price? You would give up your forms, your bond with this human, your chance to live out your natural lives all for 24 hours. I think about Mason again, about the way he looks at that pill bottle, about that rainy night. He saved us, I say. When we were dying in that alley, when the world had given up on us, he didn't. He chose us. He fought for us. And now it's our turn to fight for him. He needs to know he's not alone, Cheese adds. He needs to know that he matters, that he's loved, that he has a reason to stay. And you believe 24 hours as humans will accomplish this? We have to try, I say, even if it only gives him one good day. One day where he laughs. One day where he feels alive. Isn't that worth it? There's a long silence. I can feel the overseer considering, weighing, measuring. Very well. Your love is true. Your sacrifice is worthy. I will grant your wish. Relief floods through me, so strong I feel dizzy. But hear me, small ones. When the 24 hours end, you will not simply disappear. You will fade, slowly, painfully. It will give you time to say goodbye, but it will not be easy. We understand, Cheese says. And you're human. He will remember you. He will grieve you. This may cause him more pain. Or it might save him, I counter. Please, we're willing to take that risk. Then it is done. When your human wakes tomorrow, Saturday morning, you will be human. You will have until midnight. Use your time wisely, small ones. The present starts to fade, but then it pauses. I will watch over him. After you are gone, I promise you this. He will not be alone. I will send him signs, small mercies, reminders that he is loved. This is my gift to you for your sacrifice. Thank you, we whisper. And then the presence vanished. Cheese POV. We sat in silence for a long time after the overseer left. Tomorrow, Pickle finally says. Saturday morning. One day, I say. 24 hours? Do you think it will be enough? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think about Mason's smile, the real one, not the customer service one. I think about the way he used to dance in the kitchen back in the early days, before the dark cloud got so thick. It has to be, I say. We pawed back to the bedroom together. Mason is still asleep, still breathing. We take our usual spots, me on the pillow, Pickle behind his knees. I'm scared, Pickle admits in the darkness. Me too, I say. But I'd rather be scared than watch him fade away. Do you think he'll understand? When it's over, will he know why we did it? I think he'll understand that he's loved. That's all that matters. We fall silent. Outside, the city hums its nighttime song. Inside, Mason sleeps, unaware that tomorrow his whole world is about to change. Unaware that his cat and dog loved him enough to die for him. Unaware that for one perfect, impossible day, he's going to experience something no one else has. I close my eyes and wait for morning. We're coming, Mason, I think. Just hold on one more night. We're coming. Chapter 3, The Miracle Day. Mason POV. I woke up around 4:47 a.m. on Saturday morning, same as always. For a moment, just a moment, I feel almost okay. Like the nightmares stayed away this time. Like maybe I actually slept. Then reality settles back in, heavy and gray, and I remember it's Saturday, my day off. 14 hours of empty time to fill before I can justify going back to sleep. I lie in bed for a while, staring at the ceiling. Something feels off, but I can't place it. The apartment is too quiet, maybe. Usually Cheese is on the pillow next to me, and I can feel Pickle's weight behind my knees. I sit up and look around. The bed is empty except for me. Cheese, Pickle. No response, no soft patter of paws, no jingling of collar tags. A spike of anxiety hits my chest. They're always here in the morning. Always. I get up, my heart's starting to race. Guys? I check the bathroom empty. Check the kitchen empty. The panic is building now, irrational but unstoppable. What if they got out somehow? What if something happened to them while I was sleeping? What if? I round the corner into the living room and freeze. There are two people sitting on my couch, two naked people. Two naked strangers in my living room at not even 5 in the morning. My brain short circuits. I can't process what I'm seeing. My first instinct is to run back to the bedroom, lock the door, call 911. My second instinct is to wonder if I'm still asleep, if this is some kind of fucked up anxiety dream. But then I notice details that don't make sense. One of them, a young man with shaggy brown hair and big dark eyes, is sitting in the exact spot where Pickle always sits, tucked into the corner of the couch with his knees pulled up. The other, lean and angular with short auburn hair and sharp features, perched on the arm of the couch the way Cheese always perches on the windowsill, perfectly balanced, watching me with unsettling intensity. And they're both wearing collars. Pickle's red collar with the bone-shaped tag, Cheese's blue collar with the fish-shaped tag. What the fuck, I whisper. The brown-haired one, the one sitting in Pickle's spot, raises his hand in a hesitant wave. Hi, Mason. His voice is soft, nervous, with a slight tremor that somehow sounds familiar. We can explain, the auburn-haired one says, and his voice is calmer, more measured. But there's something in the cadence that makes my skin prickle with recognition. I'm calling the cops, I say, backing toward the bedroom. I don't know who you are or how you got in here, but you can't call the cops, the brown-haired one says quickly, standing up. Mason, please, we need you to listen. Stay back. I grab my phone from the coffee table, hands shaking as I unlock it. You had a nightmare on Thursday, the auburn-haired one says, and something in his tone makes me pause. You dreamed about the house, the one you grew up in. Your father was yelling, but in the dream, you couldn't hear the words, just the anger. You woke up at 3:33 a.m. and you sat on the edge of the bed crying for 43 minutes. My thumb hovers over the emergency call button. You can't know that, I say, but my voice sounds hollow even to myself. You walked us on Friday morning at 5:30, the brown-haired one continues, his words tumbling out faster now. We went down Maple, left on Oak, around the park, back up Elm. 23 minutes. Pickle. I peed on Mrs. Henderson's bush, the one with the pink flowers. Cheese watched a cardinal from the backpack. Anyone could have seen us on that walk. You cried in the shower on Wednesday, the auburn-haired one interrupts. You thought we couldn't hear you over the water, but we could. You sat down on the floor of the tub and cried for 11 minutes. When you got out, you pretended everything was fine. You made us breakfast and told us we were good boys. The phone slips from my hand, clattering onto the floor. I can't say it, it's insane, it's impossible. I'm Pickle, the brown-haired one says, and he takes a tentative step forward. And that's Cheese. We're your pets, Mason. We're your dog and your cat. I should laugh. I should call 911 anyway. I should do literally anything except stand here, staring at these two naked strangers who somehow know things they shouldn't know. But then the auburn-haired one, Cheese? Does something that breaks my brain completely. He tilts his head to the side in that exact way Cheese does when he's analyzing something. That precise angle, that specific expression of intense focus mixed with mild judgment. You keep the treats in the cabinet above the microwave, he says. The good ones, the freeze-dried salmon, are in the back behind the cereal boxes because you're trying to ration them. You always give them to me after you've had a particularly bad day, like you're apologizing for being sad. And you cut my pills in half and hide them in peanut butter, the brown-haired one pickle adds. The anxiety medication. You crush it up really fine and mix it in because you know I won't take it otherwise. You tell the vet you give it to me whole, but you don't. You spend an extra 5 minutes every morning making sure I actually eat it. My legs feel weak. I sink down onto the floor, my back against the wall. This isn't real, I say. I'm having a psychotic break. I need to call someone. Pickle crosses the room and sits down on the floor in front of me, careful to maintain a respectful distance. His movements are human, but there's something in the way he settles, the way his weight shifts, the way his hands rest on his knees that's pure dog. You found us 5 years ago, he says softly. It was raining. We were in a cardboard box behind the grocery store. I was so cold I couldn't stop shaking, and Cheese was barely breathing. You wrapped us in your jacket, the brown one with the broken zipper that you still have hanging in your closet. You took us home even though you barely had enough money for food. You fed us with an eyedropper. You stayed up all night making sure we didn't die. You called the shelter first, Cheese adds, still perched on the arm of the couch. You tried to do the right thing, but they said they'd probably have to put us down, and you wouldn't let that happen. So you just kept us. You saved our lives, Mason. I'm crying now, tears streaming down my face. And I don't even know why. How is this possible? I whisper. Pickle and Cheese exchange a glance. We made a deal, Cheese says simply. With the overseer, I mean the god of animals. We have 24 hours to be human, to talk to you, to show you something important. What? I ask. Show me what? Pickle's eyes, those big, dark, worried eyes, meet mine. That you're not alone, he says. That you matter. That you have a reason to stay. The words hit me like a physical blow. I curl forward, my forehead nearly touching my knees, and sob. I feel Pickle move closer. Then I feel his arms around me, awkward, uncertain, but warm. A moment later, Cheese is there too, and they're both hugging me the way I've hugged them 1,000 times when the dark cloud got too heavy. We love you, Pickle whispers. We love you so much, Mason. And somehow, impossibly, I believe them. It takes another 20 minutes before I can think clearly enough to function. We're still sitting on the living room floor. I've stopped crying, but my eyes feel swollen and my chest aches. Pickle is pressed against my side, his head on my shoulder. Cheese is sitting cross-legged in front of us, watching me with that analytical cat stare. You're really them, I say. It's not a question anymore. We're really us, Cheese confirms. And you have 24 hours. Until midnight, Pickle says quietly. And then what? You turn back? Silence. We can talk about that later, Cheese says. Right now we have a whole day, your day off, and we want to spend it with you. Doing what? Pickle lifts his head, and for the first time since I found them in my living room, he smiles. It's a bright, genuine, joyful smile that transforms his whole face. Everything, he says. We want to do everything. The first order of business is clothes. I dig through my closet and find things that sort of fit. Pickle ends up in a pair of my old sweatpants and a hoodie that's too big on him. Cheese, who's leaner and shorter, fits better in my jeans and a t-shirt, though he complains that clothes feel weird and restrictive. You get used to it, I tell him. Do you, though? Cheese tugs at the collar of the shirt. How do humans stand this? Barely, I admit, and Pickle laughs. An actual delighted laugh that makes my chest feel less tight. We're standing in my tiny bedroom, and the situation is so absurd. My cat and dog are now people, wearing my clothes, having opinions about fabric. Then I start laughing too. And once I start, I can't stop. Pickle joins in, and then Cheese, and we're all just standing there laughing like idiots at 6 in the morning on a Saturday. When was the last time I laughed like this? Really laughed? I can't remember. Okay, I say when I finally catch my breath. Okay, so what do you guys want to do? Outside, Pickle says immediately. I want to go outside as a human. I want to walk around and not be on a leash. I want to eat human food, Cheese says. Real human food, not kibble. I can work with that, I say, but we need to set some ground rules. You're human now, which means you have to act like humans. No chasing squirrels, no trying to smell strangers, no. No promises, Cheese interrupts. I look at him. He looks back, completely serious. Cheese, we have 24 hours, Mason. We're not wasting them pretending to be something we're not. We're your pets in human bodies. That's the whole point. He's right, of course. The absurdity is the point. Fine, so I say. But if you get us arrested, I'm telling the cops you broke in. Pickle grins. Deal. We leave the apartment at 6:30 a.m., and the world feels different. Maybe it's the early morning light, golden and soft. Maybe it's the fact that I'm not alone for once, flanked by these two strange, familiar people. Maybe it's just that something impossible happened, and my brain has decided to stop trying to make sense of things and just experience them instead. Pickle keeps drifting away from the sidewalk, pulled by instincts he doesn't quite know how to control in this new body. He stops at every tree, every fence post, and I have to resist the urge to tell him to heel. Sorry, he says, jogging back to us. It's just there's so much information. I can't smell it the same way, but I know it's there. It's frustrating. You'll adjust, Cheese says. He's walking with his hands in his pockets, but his eyes are tracking every bird, every movement in the periphery. The visual acuity is better as a human, actually. More color range. You're analyzing being human, I ask? Of course. Aren't you curious what it's like to be us? I mean, yeah, but then stop questioning and start experiencing, Cheese interrupts. That's what we're doing. We walk down Maple Street, and I'm seeing the neighborhood through their eyes. Pickle is fascinated by cars, by the way humans walk with such purpose, by the fact that he can reach up and touch tree branches now. Cheese is more observant, noting the patterns of the city, the way people interact, the subtle dynamics of the urban ecosystem. Oh my God, Pickle says suddenly, stopping dead. Mason. Mason, look. He's pointing at a squirrel. Pickle, no. But he's already moving, breaking into a run across someone's lawn, chasing the squirrel up a tree. The squirrel chatters at him angrily from a branch, and Pickle stands at the base of the tree, staring up with pure longing. I could climb that now, he says when I catch up to him. I have thumbs. I could actually catch it. Please don't climb the tree, I say, but I'm smiling. The urge is so strong, Pickle says, and he sounds amazed. Even in this body. I see it, and I just want to chase it. That's what being a dog is, Cheese says, joining us. Pure instinct. Humans overthink everything. You could learn something from him. We continue walking, and I'm struck by how light I feel. The dark cloud is still there, it's always there, but it's thinner somehow, like their presence is letting sunlight through. We pass Mrs. Henderson's house, and she's outside watering her garden. She looks up and waves. Morning, Mason. And who are your friends? I freeze. I didn't think about this part explaining who they are. But Pickle waves back enthusiastically. Good morning. I'm Pickle, and this is Cheese. Mrs. Henderson blinks. Those are interesting names. They're nicknames, I say quickly, from college. Well, it's nice to see you with friends, dear. You should bring them by for tea sometime. We'd love that, Pickle says before I can deflect. We walk on, and I'm shaking my head. You can't just accept tea invitations. You won't even be... I stop myself. Won't be here, Cheese finishes quietly. We know. The moment threatens to turn heavy, but then Pickle spots another squirrel, and the whole cycle starts again. We end up at a diner on the edge of the neighborhood. It's a 24-hour place I've passed 1,000 times but never gone into. It's 7:30 a.m. now, and the breakfast rush hasn't started yet. The hostess seats us in a booth by the window. Pickle immediately presses his face against the glass, watching people walk by. Cheese picks up the menu and studies it with intense focus. You can order anything you want, I tell them. Anything? Pickle tears his attention away from the window. Within reason. No ordering the entire menu. The waitress comes over, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and a coffee pot. What can I get you boys? Pickle orders pancakes with bacon and eggs and hash browns and toast. And can I have a side of sausage? He adds, and maybe some fruit? What kind of fruit do you have? The waitress smiles. Hungry this morning? You have no idea, Pickle says earnestly. Cheese orders an omelet with salmon. And a side of scrambled eggs, just plain. And can I have some cream, like in a small bowl? Cream, the waitress asks. He has a dairy thing, I say quickly. I'll just have coffee and toast. Oh, no, you don't, Cheese says. Mason, when was the last time you ate a real breakfast? I don't answer. He'll have the breakfast special, Cheese tells the waitress, with extra bacon. When the waitress leaves, I lean forward. I'm not that hungry. You're never hungry, Pickle says. We've noticed. You eat standing up. You eat protein bars. You skip meals. That's not okay. I'm fine. You're not fine, Cheese interrupts. But today you're going to eat breakfast with us. Actual food, at a table, like a human being. I want to argue, but the way they're both looking at me with love and concern and stubborn determination makes me nod instead. Okay, I say quietly. Okay. When the food comes, Pickle's eyes go wide. He picks up a piece of bacon and just stares at it for a moment before taking a bite. Oh my God, he whispers. Oh my God, Mason. This is what bacon tastes like to you? This is incredible. Cheese is more refined in his approach, but I can see the pleasure on his face as he tries each component of his omelet. He does, in fact, lap at the bowl of cream like a cat before catching himself and using a spoon. No judgment, I tell him. I'm not judging myself, Cheese says. Cream is delicious, and anyone who disagrees is wrong. I pick at my food at first, but Pickle keeps pushing more onto my plate, and eventually I find myself eating. Actually eating. And it does taste good. When was the last time I noticed that? We're halfway through breakfast when a golden retriever walks past the window outside, and Pickle loses his entire mind. Dog, he shouts, jumping up from the booth. Mason, can we go pet the dog? Please? I've never been able to talk to a dog as a human before. Do you think they'll understand me? Several other diners turn to look at us. Pickle, sit down, I hiss, but I'm trying not to laugh. But it's a dog, Pickle says, as if this explains everything. Cheese rolls his eyes. You're embarrassing yourself. You literally licked a bowl of cream 2 minutes ago. That was elegant. You're being feral. I'm laughing now, actually laughing, and I can't stop. The other diners are smiling too, probably thinking we're just weird friends being weird, if only they knew. After breakfast, we walk to the park. It's busier now, people jogging, walking their dogs, pushing strollers. Pickle wants to stop and greet every single dog we see. Most of the owners are friendly about it, though they're puzzled by the way Pickle talks to their pets. Hi, hello, you're so pretty. What's your name? Do you like treats? I bet you like treats. Who's a good dog? You are. He's very enthusiastic, one owner says, amused as their corgi sniffs Pickle's outstretched hand. He really loves dogs, I say weakly. Cheese is more interested in the cats. We pass a community cat colony, a feeding station set up by volunteers, and he kneels down, making soft, chittering sounds that immediately get the cat's attention. Three of them approach him cautiously. He stays very still, letting them come to him, and soon they're rubbing against him, purring. They know, Cheese says softly. They can tell I'm one of them. Can you understand them? I ask. Not the way I could before, but I can read their body language perfectly. This one, he nods at an orange tabby, is the colony leader. She's testing me. And this little one is her daughter. She's braver than she looks. We sit there for a while, watching Cheese commune with the cats. Pickle has gotten distracted by children playing on the swings, and he's watching them with an expression of pure joy. They're so happy, he says. Look how happy they are. You can go play, I tell him. It's a public park. I'm too big, I'd break the swings. There's an adult section over there, with the workout equipment. His face lights up, and before I can say anything else, he's jogging over to the pull-up bars. He jumps up, grabs one, and immediately falls off. Harder than it looks, he calls back. I'm smiling so hard my face hurts. We spend 2 hours at the park. Pickle tries every piece of equipment, approaches every dog, and somehow convinces a group of college kids to let him join their frisbee game. Cheese splits his time between watching birds and judging people's fashion choices. That man's shoes don't match his belt, he observes. Why do humans do that? Not everyone cares about fashion, Cheese. They should. Presentation matters. You're a cat wearing my t-shirt, and I wear it better than you do. I can't argue with that. Around noon, we grab lunch from a food cart. Tacos for everyone. Pickle insists on trying every salsa, even the one labeled extremely hot. He immediately regrets this decision. Water, he gasps. Mason, water. Why didn't you warn me? I literally said, that one will hurt. I thought you were joking. Cheese, meanwhile, has managed to get salsa on his shirt and is deeply offended by this development. Clothes are the worst, he declares. I'm never wearing clothes again. You have to wear clothes in public, Cheese. Says who? The law. He considers this. Your laws are restrictive and arbitrary. We eat our tacos sitting on a bench in the sun. Pickle has recovered from the salsa incident and is watching people walk by with endless fascination. Cheese has closed his eyes and tilted his face toward the sun, purring, actually purring. A low rumble in his chest that makes a few passers-by do double takes. This is nice, I say quietly. This is the best day of my life, Pickle says. I know I've only been human for a few hours, but still, this is perfect. Cheese opens one eye. It's not over yet. The afternoon blurs into a series of perfect moments. Pickle trying to pet a police dog and getting gently scolded by the officer, who then lets him pet it anyway because he seems really enthusiastic. Cheese finding a bookstore and spending 45 minutes just staring at all the spines, overwhelmed by the fact that he can read now. Both of them being amazed by an ice cream truck. You're telling me this vehicle just drives around playing music and selling frozen treats? Humans are incredible. We get ice cream. Pickle gets chocolate and vanilla swirl with gummy bears. Cheese gets strawberry and eats it so fast, he gets brain freeze and is personally offended by the experience. You didn't warn me, he accuses. I didn't know you'd inhale it. It was delicious. That's not how you're supposed to eat ice cream. We're bickering like family, and it feels so natural, so right. Around 4 p.m., we're walking through a neighborhood we've never explored before when Pickle suddenly stops. Mason, he says, his voice strange, do you hear that? I listen. Barking. Lots of barking. We follow the sound to a small park where there's a dog rescue event happening. Dozens of dogs in crates and pens, volunteers with clipboards, adoption banners everywhere. Pickle's face does something complicated. They're all looking for homes, he says quietly. Like we were. We walk through the event slowly. Pickle stops at every pen, every crate, talking softly to the dogs inside. Some of them are bouncy and excited. Some are withdrawn and scared. All of them paid attention to him, though. He kneels in front of a pen holding an older pit bull with a gray muzzle. She's lying down, not reacting to any of the potential adopters walking by. Hey, Pickle says softly. Hey, pretty girl. The dog lifts her head slightly. I know you're scared, Pickle continues. I know you've been waiting a long time. But someone's going to see you. Someone's going to choose you. And when they do, you're going to be so loved. I promise. The dog's tail thumps once against the floor of the pen. A volunteer approaches us. Are you interested in adopting? I I start to say no, but Pickle is looking up at me with those big, hopeful eyes. Mason has us, Cheese says quickly, but maybe we could share information about the rescue with other people in his building? Of course. The volunteer hands me a flyer. As we walk away, Pickle keeps looking back at the pit bull. She reminded you of yourself, Cheese says gently. Yeah, Pickle admits. I just wanted her to know she's not forgotten. I put my arm around his shoulders, this person who was my dog this morning, and squeeze gently. You have a good heart, I tell him. I learned from you, he says simply. Evening is starting to settle in, the sky turning orange and pink. We end up at a different park, the big one on the hill with the good view of the city. Pickle has finally started to tire. He's walking slower, less frantic energy. Cheese has been quiet for the last hour, more contemplative. We find a bench overlooking the city. The three of us sit squeezed together on the wooden seat. The lights are starting to come on in the buildings below. This is beautiful, Pickle says softly. We've been here before, I say. I've brought you guys to this park. But we couldn't see it like this, Cheese says. Not really. The perspective is different when you're human. We sit in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Pickle speaks, his voice small. Mason, can I ask you something? Anything. Why are you so sad? The question hits me like a punch to the chest. I open my mouth to deflect, to make an excuse, but Cheese puts his hand on my arm. We've watched you for 5 years, he says. We've seen you struggle. We know about the dark cloud, but we don't understand why. Will you tell us? And maybe it's because they're my pets. Maybe it's because they've seen me at my worst and loved me anyway. Maybe it's because I know this day is temporary, borrowed time, and there's no point in hiding. So, I tell them. I tell them about being 14 and homeless, about foster care, about learning that the world doesn't want you if you're too different, too broken, too much. I tell them about the retail job that pays just enough to survive, but not enough to thrive. About the tiny apartment that's all I can afford. About the constant grinding anxiety that I'm one disaster away from losing everything. I tell them about the loneliness, about being 23 and feeling exhausted, about watching other people my age laughing with friends, falling in love, building lives, while I'm just trying to make it through another day. I tell them about the dark cloud, about the mornings when getting out of bed feels impossible, about the nights when I stand at the window and think about how easy it would be to just stop. But I don't, I say, my voice cracking, because of you guys, because you need me, because even when I hate myself, I can't do that to you. I'm crying now, tears streaming down my face in the fading sunlight. Mason, Pickle says, and his voice is thick with emotion. Mason, you're not broken. You're not too much. You're perfect. I'm not. You are, Cheese interrupts fiercely. Do you know what we see when we look at you? We see someone who's survived things that would break most people. We see someone who works exhausting hours and still makes time to walk us every morning. We see someone who hides treats in the back of cabinets to make them last longer because he spends his money on our vet bills instead of himself. We see someone who saved 2 dying animals because he couldn't stand the thought of letting them go, Pickle adds. Someone who's been keeping himself alive for 5 years just to make sure we're okay. That's not weakness, Mason. That's the strongest thing we've ever seen. But I'm so tired, I whisper. I'm so fucking tired. We know, Cheese says softly. We know you are, but Mason, listen to me. Look at me. I turn to face him, and his eyes, Cheese's eyes, my cat's eyes, are intense and certain. You are not alone, he says. You think you are, but you're wrong. You have neighbors who care about you. Mrs. Chen leaves you food. Mrs. Henderson invited you for tea. That guy at the coffee shop always gives you an extra shot. The volunteer at the rescue event recognized you. She said you donate every month even though you can barely afford it. You're surrounded by people who see you, Pickle continues, who care about you. You just can't see it because the dark cloud is in the way. But it's true, Mason. You matter to so many people. And you matter to us most of all, Cheese says. more than anything in the entire world. I'm sobbing now, and they're both holding me, and the sun is setting over the city, and for the first time in years, maybe the first time ever, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I'm worth saving. We sit there until the sky turns from orange to purple to dark blue, until the stars start to appear, until the city lights below us are the only lights left. And then Pickle says the words I've been dreading. Mason, there's something we need to tell you. Chapter 4, The Echo and the New Beginning. Mason POV. We need to tell you something. The words hang in the air between us. The park has emptied out as night has fallen. It's just us, the bench, the city lights below, and the terrible weight of what's coming. I know. Somehow, I already know. You're leaving, I say. It's not a question. Pickle's hand tightens on mine. Cheese looks away, jaw clenched. The deal we made? Cheese starts, his voice carefully controlled. 24 hours as humans. That was the price. And then what? I ask, even though I don't want to hear the answer. Then we enter the cycle, Pickle says softly. Reincarnation. We can't go back to being your pets. We will have to start over. The world tilts sideways. What time? Midnight. I check my phone. 8:47 p.m. 3 hours and 13 minutes. No, I hear myself say. No, that's not you can't. We'll find another way. We'll call the god back. We'll make a different deal. Mason. Cheese's voice is gentle but firm. It's done. This was our choice. Your choice? My voice is rising now, panic clawing at my chest. You chose to leave me? After everything you just said about me not being alone, about mattering, you're going to just... We chose to save you, Pickle interrupts, and his eyes are shining with tears. Mason, yesterday, last night, when you had that nightmare, when you were sitting on the edge of the bed at 3:33 a.m., we could feel it. The dark cloud was getting so thick. We were terrified that one morning we'd wake up and you'd be gone. Really gone. So you decided to go instead? The anger is irrational, I know it is, but it's the only thing keeping the grief at bay. How does that help? How does losing you make anything better? Because now you know, Cheese says, standing up and moving to crouch in front of me. Now you know that you're loved. Not just by us, but by other people too. We showed you today, Mrs. Henderson, the coffee shop guy, the rescue volunteer. You have a community, Mason. You have connections. You just couldn't see them before. I don't want connections, I'm shouting now, and I don't care who hears. I want you. I want my dog and my cat. I want... My voice breaks and Pickle pulls me into his arms. I'm sobbing into his shoulder, clutching at his borrowed clothes like I can physically hold him here. I know, he whispers. I know, Mason. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We made the choice we had to make, Cheese says, and when I look at him, there are tears on his face too. Because 24 hours of being able to tell you, to show you, to make sure you understood how loved you are, that was worth it. You're worth it. Not to me, I choke out. You're not worth losing. Nothing is worth that. You won't lose us, Pickle says, pulling back to look at me. Not really. We'll always be with you. Every time you walk down Maple Street, every time you see a dog chasing a squirrel, every time you find treats in the back of the cabinet, we'll be there. That's not the same. No, Cheese agrees. It's not. But it's what we have. We sit there in the darkness, holding each other, and I try to memorize everything. The weight of Pickle's arm around my shoulders, the sharp angles of Cheese's face, the sound of their breathing, the warmth of their presence. 3 hours and 7 minutes. Come on, Cheese finally says, standing up. Let's go home. We have a few more hours. Let's not waste them here. The walk back feels both endless and far too short. Pickle holds my hand the whole way, swinging our arms between us like a child. Cheese walks on my other side, occasionally pointing out things he's noticed throughout the day, a restaurant he wants to try in another life, a bookstore window display, a cat watching us from a fire escape. She's judging my human form, Cheese says. I can tell. She's probably jealous, Pickle offers. Obviously, I make an excellent human. Their banter feels forced, like they're trying to keep things light, and I appreciate the effort. The alternative is drowning in the countdown that's ticking in my head. 2 hours and 53 minutes. We pass Mrs. Chen's apartment, and there's a container by my door again. Dumplings, still warm. See? Pickle says. She cares about you. I pick up the container, and for the first time, I knock on her door. She answers after a moment, surprised to see me. She's a small woman in her 70s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Mason, is everything okay? Yeah, My voice catches. I wanted to thank you for the food. You've been leaving it for months, and I never said thank you. Her face softens. You work so hard. I hear you leave early every morning. Everyone should have a warm meal waiting. These are my friends, I gesture to Pickle and Cheese. We're spending the day together. Good, she says firmly. You should have friends. You should have people. You come by for dinner sometime, yes? I make hot pot. You bring your friends. I'd like that, I say, and I mean it, even though my chest aches with the knowledge that these particular friends won't be here for hot pot. Wednesday, she decides. You come Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock. We say goodnight, and as we climb the stairs to my apartment, Pickle squeezes my hand. You see, he says, community. Inside the apartment, everything feels surreal. This morning, I woke up alone. I found two strangers on my couch. And now those strangers are my best friends, my family, and I'm losing them. 2 hours and 31 minutes. Hot chocolate, Cheese announces. I want hot chocolate. We couldn't have chocolate as animals, and I've been thinking about it all day. I make hot chocolate for all three of us, using the good cocoa powder I've been saving, adding marshmallows and whipped cream. We sit on the couch, Pickle in his corner, Cheese on the arm, me in the middle, and sip our drinks in comfortable silence. This is good, Cheese says. Very good. Humans got this one right. What else did we get right? I ask. Music, Pickle says immediately. Being able to create music, not just hear it. That's amazing. Books, Cheese adds. Though I'm still bitter, I only got to be literate for one day. What did we get wrong? They both think about this. Clothes, Cheese says. Definitely clothes. Work, Pickle says. The way you work so much and still barely have enough. That's broken. That shouldn't be how it is. Isolation, Cheese continues. You build these cities with millions of people, and somehow you're all lonely. That's insane. But you also got resilience right, Pickle says, looking at me. The ability to survive impossible things. To keep going even when everything hurts. That's very human, and it's beautiful. 2 hours and 11 minutes. I don't want to watch the clock, I say. I don't want to count down. Then don't, Cheese says. Just be here with us. So we talk. We tell stories. Pickle reminds me of the time he ate an entire loaf of bread off the counter and got sick for 2 days. Cheese recalls the incident where he got stuck behind the washing machine and yowled for 3 hours before I found him. I tell them about the good days, the times they made me laugh when I thought I couldn't, the nights they slept on my chest when the nightmares were bad, the way they always knew when I needed them most. You saved my life, I tell them. Every single day for 5 years, you saved my life. And today we saved it again, Cheese says, just differently. 1 hour and 47 minutes. Mason, Pickle says quietly, will you promise us something? Anything. Promise you'll call that therapist, the one whose card is in your wallet. You'll actually call them. I'd forgotten about that card. My old therapist gave it to me when my insurance ran out. Said this person did sliding scale payments. I promise. And promise you'll have dinner with Mrs. Chen on Wednesday, Cheese adds. I promise. And promise you'll keep going, Pickle says, his voice breaking. Even when it's hard. Even when the dark cloud comes back. Promise you'll remember that you're loved and you'll keep going. The tears are back, streaming down my face. I promise. I promise. 1 hour and 19 minutes. We should sleep, Cheese says. One last time. All of us together. We move to the bedroom. They climb into bed on either side of me, the same configuration as always. Pickle behind my knees, Cheese on the pillow. Except now they're human-sized, and it's awkward and uncomfortable and perfect. I love you, I tell them. I love you so much. We love you too, they say, in unison. I don't sleep. I can't. I just lie there, feeling them breathe, trying to memorize the weight of them, the warmth, the presence. Pickle falls asleep around 11:30. His breathing evens out, and his arm, thrown across my legs, goes heavy. Cheese stays awake. I can tell by the tension in his body, the way he's lying too still. Cheese? I whisper. I'm scared, he admits. I've died before I remember dying in that box before you found us. But this is different. This time, I know what I'm losing. I'm scared too. The overseer promised to watch over you, Cheese says. Promised to send signs. You won't be alone, Mason. I'll still miss you. Good, he says fiercely. Miss us. Grieve us. Feel it. But don't let it stop you from living. That would make this sacrifice meaningless. 11:47 p.m. It's almost time, Cheese whispers. I feel Pickle stir. He's awake now, too. I don't know how to say goodbye, I tell them. Then don't, Pickle says. Just tell us you'll be okay. I'll be okay, I lie. Tell us you'll remember, Cheese says. Every day, every single day. Tell us you'll live, they say together. I'll live. I promise I'll live. 11:56 p.m. They both sit up. I do too. We're facing each other in the dim light from the street lamp outside. Thank you, Pickle says, for 5 years, for every walk, every meal, every moment. Thank you for saving us. Thank you for letting us save you, Cheese adds. It was the greatest honor of our lives. 11:58 p.m. I can feel it starting, Pickle says. His hand is becoming translucent, like he's fading. Me too, Cheese says. No, I'm saying. No, please, not yet, just a little longer. But they're fading, becoming see-through, like ghosts. Pickle reaches for me one last time, and I feel his hand solid for just a moment and cut my face. You are so loved, he says. Never forget that. Cheese presses his forehead to mine. Be brave, he whispers. Live. 11:59 p.m. I love you, I'm saying over and over. I love you, I love you, I love you. And then the clock strikes midnight, and they're gone. The collar's red with a bone-shaped tag, blue with a fish-shaped tag drop onto the bed where they were sitting. The apartment is silent. I'm alone. Sunday morning. I don't sleep the rest of the night. I sit in bed, holding their collars, staring at nothing. When the sun comes up, when 4:47 a.m. arrives, my body gets up on autopilot. I walk to the living room. I expect to see them there. Pickle on the couch, Cheese on the windowsill. But there was nothing. The grief hits me like a physical blow. I collapse onto the floor, still clutching the collars, and I sobbed. Not words, just sound all the pain and loss and love that has nowhere to go. I cry until I have nothing left. Until my throat is raw, and my eyes are swollen, and my chest aches from sobbing. Eventually, I get up. I go to the bathroom. I look at myself in the mirror, really look, and I see someone who's grieving, but also someone who's alive. Promise you'll keep going. I shower, I get dressed. I don't know what else to do, so I walk. I follow our route. Down Maple Street, left on Oak, around the park, back up Elm. 23 minutes. I cry openly as I walk. A few people look concerned, but no one stops me. I'm just another person having a breakdown in public. The city absorbs my grief like it absorbs everything else. At Mrs. Henderson's house, I stop. Her garden is in full bloom flowers I never noticed before, colors that seem brighter than they should be. She's outside again, and when she sees me, her expression shifts from friendly to concerned. Mason, what's wrong, dear? And I told her. Not everything, not the magical stuff, but enough for her to get my grievance. My pets died last night, I say, both of them. They were 9 years old. I had them for 5 years. Oh, honey. She sets down her watering can and pulls me into a hug. I'm taller than her, but somehow I feel small and safe in her arms. I'm so sorry. Come inside. I'll make tea. Her kitchen is warm and cluttered in a comfortable way. She makes Earl Grey and puts out cookies, and we sit at her table while I cry, talk, and grieve. They were all I had, I tell her. That's not true, she says gently. You have neighbors. You have a community. We've all been worried about you working so hard, always alone. But we care about you, Mason. You're part of this neighborhood. I didn't know that. Well, now you do. She pats my hand. You come by whenever you need to. My door's always open, and you're still coming for dinner at Mrs. Chen's tonight, yes? I don't know if I can, she said Wednesday. You can. She probably only wanted to give you time to think about it. I'll let her know. She'll be delighted, she says firmly. Your pets would want you to. They'd want you to keep living. She's right. They would. I stay for an hour, and when I leave, I feel fractionally more solid. Like I'm not going to blow away with the wind. I walk some more, aimless now. My feet take me down streets I don't usually go, and somehow I end up in the alley. The alley where I found them 5 years ago. The same dumpster, the same stained concrete, the same feeling of desperation that clings to forgotten places. I'm about to leave when I hear it. A sound so small I almost miss it. Meow. I freeze. Meow. Meow. Behind the dumpster, there's a cardboard box. My heart is pounding as I approach. I know what I'm going to find. I know, and I'm terrified, and I'm hopeful, and I'm breaking apart and coming together all at once. Inside the box is a kitten, tiny, orange, maybe 6 weeks old, shivering and crying. I stare at it for a long moment. This is impossible. This is too much of a coincidence. This is. I will watch over him. I promise you this, he will not be alone. I will send him signs. The gods promise to Pickle and Cheese. Hi, little one, I whisper, reaching into the box. The kitten is so small it fits in one hand. It looks up at me with blue-green eyes and meows plaintively. A sign, a gift, a reason to keep going. I tuck the kitten inside my jacket against my chest, and I run. The emergency vet is open on Sundays. They take the kitten back immediately malnourished, dehydrated, but alive. While I wait, I call the number on the card in my wallet. It goes to voicemail. Hi, my name is Mason. I need help. I'd like to make an appointment. Please call me back. When the vet brings the kitten back out, she's smiling. She's going to be fine. She's a fighter. Do you want to keep her? I look at the tiny orange kitten, wrapped in a towel, purring in the vet's hands. Yes, I say. Yes, I want to keep her. She'll need vaccinations, deworming, regular checkups. It's a commitment. I know. And I do. I know exactly what I'm signing up for. I'll take care of her. The vet hands her over, and the kitten immediately burrows into my jacket, seeking warmth and safety. What are you going to name her? The vet asks. I think about Pickle and Cheese, about their gift, about their promise. Hope, I say. Her name is Hope. Sunday evening, I show up at Mrs. Chen's apartment at 5:55 p.m. with Hope in a carrier I bought at the pet store. Mrs. Henderson is already there, and so is Mr. Rodriguez from the first floor, and a younger couple I've seen in the hallway, but never talked to. You came, Mrs. Chen beams when she opens the door. And you brought a friend. Oh, she's so tiny. I found her this morning, I say, in an alley. Of course you did, Mrs. Henderson says, and there's something knowing in her smile. You have a gift for finding things that need saving. We eat hot pot around Mrs. Chen's table, vegetables and noodles and thin sliced meat cooked in bubbling broth. Everyone wants to hold Hope, and she's passed around like a precious treasure, purring for each person in turn. I tell them about Pickle and Cheese, and they all share stories of pets they've loved and lost. Mr. Rodriguez tears up talking about his childhood dog. The young couple, Emma and James, show me pictures of the cat they had to leave with their parents when they moved for work. It never stops hurting, Emma says, but it gets easier to carry. And the love was worth it, James adds. That's what you have to remember. The love was always worth the grief. I look around the table at these people, these neighbors I never knew cared, and I feel something shift in my chest. The dark cloud is still there. It probably always will be. But there are cracks in it now, letting light through. That night, I sit on my bed with Hope curled in my lap. The apartment is quiet, but it doesn't feel empty anymore. I put Pickles and Cheese's collars on my nightstand where I can see them. I'm going to be okay, I tell them, even though they're not here to hear it. I'm going to keep my promises. I'm going to call the therapist. I'm going to have dinner with the neighbors. I'm going to take care of Hope. I'm going to live. Hope meows sleepily and kneads her tiny paws against my leg. They sent you, didn't they? I ask her. They made sure I wouldn't be alone. She purrs, and I choose to believe that's a yes. I still cry that night. I cry for what I lost and what I can never get back. I cry for 5 years of love compressed into one impossible day. I cry for the sacrifice they made and the gift they gave me. But I also slept, and when I woke up at 4:47 a.m. on Monday morning, I didn't just get up out of habit. I got up because I have a kitten to feed. I got up because I have a therapy appointment on Tuesday. I got up because I promised Mrs. Chen I'd teach her how to use her new phone. I got up because I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. And somewhere in the cycle, in the cosmos, in whatever comes next, I think Pickle and Cheese are smiling. 6 months later, the apartment doesn't smell like old carpet anymore. There are plants on the windowsill now, easy ones that Mrs. Henderson helped me choose. There's a new couch that Emma and James helped me move in when they saw me struggling with the old one. There are pictures on the walls, photos I took on walks, a painting Mr. Rodriguez gave me, a framed drawing that a kid at the rescue event made of a dog that looks like a replica of Pickle. Hope is bigger now, 6 months old and full of personality. She still sleeps on my pillow, and I still hide treats in the back of cabinets. And every time I do, I smile. Therapy is helping. Slowly, incrementally, but helping. My therapist, Dr. Patel, is patient and kind, and she doesn't push me to be fixed. She just helps me carry the weight a little better. Work is still exhausting, but I'm looking into classes at the community college. Education, maybe, or social work. Something that feels like it has purpose. I still have bad days, days when the dark cloud descends and getting out of bed feels impossible. But now I know what to do. I call Mrs. Henderson. I text the group chat Emma set up for our building. I pick up Hope and let her purr against my chest until the worst of it passes. And every Saturday morning, I walk down Maple Street, left on Oak, around the park, back up Elm. 23 minutes. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I smile. Sometimes I do both. But I always walk, and I'm never truly alone. On the bench overlooking the city, the bench where they told me the truth, there's a small plaque now. I had it installed a month ago, using money I saved from finally getting a raise. It reads, "For Pickle and Cheese, who taught me that love is worth the grief and that being alive is worth the fight." People probably think it's weird, a memorial for pets. But I don't care. They weren't just pets. They were my family, my saviors, my reason to stay. And because of them, because of one impossible day and one perfect sacrifice, I'm still here. Still fighting, still living, still loved. I look up at the sky where the first stars are starting to appear, and I whisper the same thing I whisper every night. Thank you for everything. I love you. I'm okay. And somewhere in whatever comes after, I believe they hear me, and I believe they know I'm telling the truth.
Quote of the week. Sometimes staying alive is the bravest thing you can do. Anna Burke. Thank you for listening to One Perfect Day, a heartwarming short story. Hope you enjoyed this story. If this story brought up difficult feelings for you, I want you to know that you're not weak for struggling. You're human. If you're feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or unsafe, you don't have to carry it alone. In the U.S., you can contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Call or text 988. Chat online at 988lifeline.org. You don't have to be in immediate danger to reach out. Even if you're just tired of holding everything in, talking to someone can help. If you're outside the U.S., I encourage you to look up local crisis resources in your country. You matter, and you deserve support. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you'd love more stories or have a request. New videos uploaded every Friday.